Rectification of errors. Dear students, today we will learn about rectification of errors. Trial balance is not a conclusive proof of accuracy. The trial balance may agree, and yet there may be some errors in the books remaining undisclosed. A trial balance will not disclose the following errors. 1. Errors of omission. Omission of an entry in original book. If an entry has not been made in a subsidiary book, both the debit and credit of that transaction would be omitted and the agreement of trial balance will not be affected. 2. A wrong entry in the original book. If a credit sale of 510 rupees is wrongly entered in the day book as 150 rupees, such an error will not be revealed by the trial balance. 3. Posting an item to wrong account. If Smith's account has been debited instead of Green's account, the trial balance will not detect such an error. 4. Compensating errors. These are errors arising from the over debits or under debits of accounts being neutralized by the over credits or under credits to the same extent of some other accounts. It is very seldom that such errors of equal amounts arise on the debit side as well as on the credit side of the ledger accounts. For instance, an underposting of rupees 20 to the debit of a ledger account would compensate for the underposting of rupees 15 on the credit of another account, and an omission of credit posting rupees 5 to a third account, and it will not therefore prevent the arithmetical balancing of the trial balance. Errors of principle. As such, errors arise from the debiting or crediting of wrong heads of accounts. It would be inconsistent with the fundamental principles of the double entry. They will not affect the agreement of the trial balance. The trial balance will disclose the following classes of errors. An item omitted to be posted from a book of original entry into the ledger. An item posted on wrong side of a ledger account. A wrong amount posted to the proper account. An item in the book of original entry posted twice into the ledger. Any errors in additions or balancing of ledger accounts unless they are of a compensating nature. Omission of a balance of an account in the trial balance. Steps to discover errors in trial balance. Where a trial balance disagrees and the difference is of an appreciably large amount as would materially affect the final accounts, it would never be safe to allow errors to remain undetected. Even where the difference is of a small amount, it may be the outcome of several grave errors of a compensating nature, and it would follow, therefore, that all possible efforts must be expended to fix the cause of the difference before preparation of the final accounts. Assuming that the trial balance disagrees, the following hints as to the steps to be taken to fix errors are sure to prove helpful. 1. Recheck the totals of the trial balance, including the lists of debtors and creditors, and ascertain the extent of amount of difference. See that the inclusion of cash and bank balances is not omitted. It should be seen that the opening balances have been correctly brought forward in the current year's books. 4. Half the amount of the difference to see if there is any balance of the same amount in the trial balance. It may be that a balance is entered in the wrong column of the trial balance, thus causing a difference of double of the amount. If the difference is of a large amount, it would not be bad plan to compare the trial balance with that of the previous year, in order to ascertain whether the figures under the different heads of accounts are very near the same as those of the previous year, and whether their balances on the same side of the trial balance. 6. Very often the amount of the difference will indicate the nature of the errors. If the difference is in round sum, it is possible that the mistake has been made in castings or in carry forwards. If it is in pies, it is very likely an error in posting or in extracting balances. 7. The question as to on which side the difference falls will also help towards the finding of the errors. For instance, if the debits exceed the credits, the receipt side of the cash book and the credits from the journals should be gone through for unposted items. If the difference is the other way about, the payment side of the cash book and the debits from the journals should be scanned for unposted items, it may be that an amount exactly equal and the difference has been left off unposted. 8. If the difference happens to be an amount which constantly recurs in the books, all the postings of this amount may be checked to advantage. Glance through the subsidiary records to trace unposted items and check the carry forwards, at the same time scrutinizing badly written and indistinct figures. Check the postings of the periodical totals of the subsidiary books into the ledger. 11. Check the extraction of balances of the personal and impersonal accounts and their transfer into the trial balance to see that the amounts are entered in right columns. 12. The journal should be scanned to see that the total debits and credits of each entry tally. The totals of the sales, the purchases and the subsidiary books should next be checked. 14. If all these tests fail to find the difference, a full recheck of the postings and the additions of ledger accounts would be necessitated. It would, however, be advisable to recheck the postings and additions of the impersonal accounts first before resorting to personal accounts. 15. If the ledgers are self-balancing, the work would be restricted to checking the balances, postings, or cash of only such ledger or ledgers whose trial balance do not agree. It may be pointed out that the above steps indicate a general outline of procedure as has been proved by experience to be most helpful and need not necessarily be followed in regular order in each case. Those acquainted with the books must know the weak spots of their work, and it must be left to them to formulate the plan of action. The location of a clerical error sometimes proves to be a most difficult task, but at the same time it is not impossible of performance provided the search is conducted intelligently. The trial balance having been agreed, the preparation of final accounts may be proceeded with. In the next lecture, we will discuss how to rectify the errors in the trial balance.